I'm going to show you how to read and understand a wage report in this video. The wage report that I'm showing here is one that includes the jobs that are in my business. And it is the same type of wage report that I send out in the Pay Clarity package that I have. I also use this wage report in the Pay Transparency program. Wage reports all look pretty similar. So they have sort of similarities about them. So what I tell you about this report, you can also use to understand other wage reports if you decide to get them from another place. The type of report that I send out is either a PDF or an Excel file. I find the Excel file easier to work with, so that's why we're looking at an Excel file. The tabs in the file that I send out have the job report, which is where most of the information is that we're going to talk about today. Job descriptions, which is just a pretty simple job description for each job that you can use to just kind of check and make sure that the data that is on the job report, that those jobs are actually matching what people are doing in your company. This adjustments tab is like if we decided to combine jobs in different percentages and try to understand that kind of data. This just kind of includes any changes that were made. Usually I don't make any adjustments. Usually we're just looking at straight job descriptions and the salaries that are associated with those job descriptions. But if we do at any point talk about doing any adjustments, you can check those adjustments in this tab. So what's included in this wage report? So the first kind of main column here is the job title. So that is the name of the job that the person has. In my business, we have, me, the copywriter, we have data analyst, we have executive assistant, marketing coordinator, nanny, research assistant. So these aren't all jobs in my company right now, but these are like jobs that I have, jobs that I'm currently contracting that may become employee positions with me, and then also a couple other ones where I was like, I don't know if I need to add this job, but I might in the future. So I'm curious about finding out about the pay for that position. The next column is geographic area. So I chose 3 geographic areas that are based on where I'm located and where my current employees and contractors are located. So I have Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, and Santa Cruz, California. Santa Cruz because that's where I live, Los Angeles because I have a contractor that works there, and Chicago because I have a contractor that works there. Chicago is an interesting city to look at just in general because it is sort of in the average range of cost of living for all of the cities in the United States. So there's a few cities that fall in the middle of that range, and Chicago is one of them. It's like halfway between the most expensive and the least expensive city to live in. Then we have level. So this column talks about either level of experience. So that's number of years of experience in a position. So you can see that here. This is 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year. These are the ones that I'll automatically send out to you. And then for C-suite positions, so that's CEO, chief marketing officer, those positions are based off of revenue, not years of experience. So the lowest amount of revenue that I can pull data for are the companies that have up to $1 million of revenue. So if your revenue is at $1 million, then that tells you which one of these percentiles you are shooting for as your goal. So the way that these percentiles are created is that the Economic Research Institute purchases a lot of different salary reports, like all the big salary reports, and they bring all of that data together and they vet it. And what this information is, what these numbers are is that they looked at, for example, all the copywriters in Chicago with a year of experience and the pay that was happening across all of those places. So the mean is the average. That's the average amount that was paid for a copywriter with one experience in all of the companies that were included in this salary report. This is what copywriters were making if they were in the 25th percentile, so they were under the mean. In the 10th percentile, that's the low end. And then we also have the high end, so 75th percentile, 90th percentile. These numbers are not just based on Chicago, for example, but they also include an analysis of the copywriters who are living within commuting distance of Chicago and how those pay rates affect the pay rates in Chicago. So it's not just these are the positions in Chicago and this is what they pay, but it is also, these are all of the positions that could commute to Chicago. This is what a person who is working in Chicago would make, but it also helps to kind of give you information when you live in a smaller city. So for example, in Santa Cruz, this is the information on copywriters who live in Santa Cruz, and then also what people who are commuting to Santa Cruz would likely make if they were living in Santa Cruz. So it isn't just the city or town that you put in as the geographic area, but it also includes some information about anyone who would be commuting to that place, and then what those people would be making if they were living and working where they live. So then kind of getting back to what is your goal? So just kind of a base goal for an organization that is making $1 million a year is this 50th percentile. So the mean. So this is kind of the column that you want to be shooting for if you're at that $1 million mark. If you're at the $500,000 mark, you're looking at the 25th percentile. And if you are under $500,000, then you're looking at the 10th percentile. That does not mean that you necessarily need to shoot for the 10th percentile. If you're making under $500,000 of revenue, you could decide that your pay strategy is that you want to pay the mean or above the mean. It just kind of depends on the affordability of, different positions that are being added to your organization, what those positions are doing, and kind of where you want to put yourself in the market. If you want to have competitive pay, shooting for the 50th or the 75th percentile is where you want to be. If you want to be extremely competitive and you want to have very high pay rates, then you shoot for the 90th percentile. When companies are in the 90th percentile, there are usually some things that are happening where people are getting compensation instead of benefits. So that's another kind of strategy around pay, is how much do you want to be going to a person in pay, and then how much do you want to be going to a person in different kinds of benefits for the organization. And that's one of the things that I talk through in the paid clarity package, is we go through this salary report for your business. We look at what you're currently paying and sort of how that fits into what's happening with the market. And then we create some strategies for you around either goals for, aligning pay with the market, or potentially different benefits. So if there isn't a budget for benefits, then we talk about creative ways of doing benefits. We also talk about tax advantaged benefits for your organization. And then if you're sort of in this range, the 75th percentile, 90th percentile, then we talk about other types of paid time off for different kinds of things that can happen in people's lives, like, paid time off for having a baby, or sabbaticals, or flexible time off policies and different things like that. What I think is really cool is when we start looking at this information, we're like, okay, so for example, the copywriter that I have that is in Chicago who has 5 years of experience as a copywriter, am I paying her at least this mean? And in my strategy in my company, even though I'm at, I don't know, a $200,000 budget in a year, is to pay in this 50th to 75th percentile. I would rather be finding and keeping people by having a competitive pay strategy than putting myself into this low end and always trying to find new people, or trying to what you find when you're in this lower end is that you get people who have less experience, or maybe they have years of experience, but they have less expertise. And so you find yourself coaching them along. And so in the place that I'm at with my business right now, I need to hire people who have expertise outside of what I'm good at, that are highly qualified in their field. And so then I find myself paying in this range. So I hope that is helpful and kind of gives you a little bit of an understanding about how a wage report looks and how to read one and all the information that goes into them. There are a lot of different organizations that do wage reports. So your payroll provider may have a wage or a salary report that you can get from them. I use the Economic Research Institute's tool because I find that it is the most robust and comprehensive tool. It works also not just in the United States, but internationally. So for me, that's important when I'm doing compensation analysis for especially international companies, or companies that are based in the US but that have contractors or employees in other countries. And then there are a bunch of companies that do salary surveys. So they'll ask companies to report information to them, and then we'll put all of that information into a report. And usually if you participate, then the cost for the report is less. So one company that does it is Mercer. I think if you participate in the report, it's around $3,000 to purchase it. But if you do not participate in the report, then it's around $6,000 to purchase it. And that seems to be the going rate. Like if you're going to participate, it's around $3,000. If you're not going to participate, it's around $6,000. The pay clarity package that I have is less than both of those. And the reason that I priced it that way is because I think that this information should be available to smaller growing businesses so that they can understand what's happening in the wage salary market. And so you're not just like searching on salary.com or Glassdoor or wherever and getting information that isn't accurate. The tool that I use is updated every 6 weeks. So I feel really secure knowing that the information is super up to date because it's vetted and it's updated all the time. And it's not a report that's just happening on an annual basis. A lot of the other reports are just annual reports. This one, again, is like every report that's coming out, they're like incorporating it into this system. So I love it. I'm like super nerding out on it. So if you have any questions about pay or benefits, or would like to talk with me about doing a pay clarity package, or just kind of developing some strategy around pay, book a discovery call with me. I'll put the link below, and I would love to talk to you.